Hi, I'm Sung Ray.
I'm something else.
Here at Black Girl Seoul, a podcast where we discuss the Asian dramas we love from a Black female perspective. We are looking to be entertained, to learn about other cultures, and share our passion for these shows. Welcome.
Happy New Year, everyone. This is Black Girl Seoul. The following episode was recorded on January 1st, 2023 between us and KDrama Support Group, along with a few other speakers. Thanks to Dr. Chi and Lenora for the collaboration, and thanks to all the speakers who chimed in. You can see their names in the description of this episode. Enjoy.
So, where should we get started? Should we do Alchemy of Souls first or do Reborn Rich first?
I think we should go ahead and do Reborn Rich first since it's over. That's my thoughts.
That's fine. That's fine with me too. So, what are your thoughts about Reborn Rich in the finale?
All right. So I know just based upon speaking with something else, we have like varying opinions. I'm not sure where you stand, Dr. Chi, but I know for us, we have varying opinions. One side of us is excited. You know, we were content with the ending. The other side, no, not so much, because what the heck happened? So I'm the Songray. I am the what the heck happened? I have no clue what that ending was. I don't know what they were trying to show me. It was too much. Overall, this was an excellent drama to me. I feel like if I had to give it a rating, and you know me, I do numbers and not letters. If I had to rate it, it would be a 9.5 out of 10 for me. The only reason it's the 0.5 is because I couldn't catch how the heck did he kill himself? That was the part that threw me off. But aside from that, it was a 9.5 because it was really well written. I love the actors. They played their parts. And I mean, everybody from when they were older to when they were younger, the children, like the whole thing was very well done. I really enjoyed it.
Okay. Anybody else want to give their overall rating of Reborn Rich?
Hi, this is something else. And yeah, I work in letters and not numbers. And it gets an A plus because, oh my goodness, it's not what I typically would gravitate towards right away. But that first episode, that second episode, if you're going to watch it and be in love, they got you. They got you right away. Very stylish, very good, really kept you coming back on tenterhooks. And so, yes, I loved the beginning, the middle, and especially the ending. And I know exactly why. We can go into that. But I felt like it was a perfect drama. And that is so hard to do.
So I don't know how, but like I lost the last bit of what you were saying. Something happened on my end. So the last part I heard was that you were giving an A++++. And then what'd you say? Could you repeat that, please? I'm sorry.
Sure. I gave it an A++++. I felt that it was wonderful. The beginning, the middle, the ending. It was a perfect drama as far as I'm concerned. And we can go into the ending after our general review.
Okay. I don't know. Lenora, have you watched Reborn Rich?
I'm not done, but I'm still going to ask questions after. But yeah, I'm not finished.
No worries. I am with the both of you guys. I give it a 90. I'll give it an A. I'll give it a 100%. Okay. I'll do both letters and numbers. I will give it an A. I think an A+. I think they did a really good job. The acting was great. The storyline was interesting, kept me hooked. And I was also annoyed with the ending. I was like, what the hell happened? First of all, I was pissed because a friend of mine, another K-drama friend, Parma from Dramas Over Flowers, she told me what the ending was going to be, and she had only watched 2 episodes. She's like, okay, this is a good drama, but what I'm concerned about is this and that, and this is what I think the ending might be. It's a spoiler. And I was like, okay, whatever. Episode 2, whatever. Then I watched episode 16, and I was like, Parma! So bad!
That's funny.
I was pissed. And then I was so angry, and I watched it. I couldn't even get over my anger enough to appreciate the ending, and I was confused. But then I literally watched episode 16 one more time, and I was like, oh, now I get it. I feel like I understand it better now.
Oh, well, you guys are going to have to help me with that.
Well, I'll say that it's almost as if, like, once you watch it, you get that there was no other choice. Like, in retrospect, because we did a kind of video up to the final 2 episodes, or right before the final 2 episodes, and I kind of hinted at what I thought it was going to be, and it was pretty similar, because I likened it to Bobby Ewing coming back from the dead. And you remember that dream sequence when they basically tell you, oh, it's all a dream and he's alive? I felt like that was going to happen, because I think too many people really thought the ending would be the payoff of he's beaten all his siblings and he's at the top of the heap and he gets control of the company. But come on, this guy was brilliant all the way through. He very rarely made missteps. So it was pretty much a foregone conclusion that he was going to get the company one way or the other. But we kept on forgetting about what the true point was. And the true point was his revenge in his original body. So that was one of the things. And then 2, there was a huge problem. Like, I had to look up how the webtoon and novel ended. And so that's why some people, I'm assuming, are disappointed, because they read those first. But the reality is that the webtoon and the novel were wrong. There was a huge gap. Maybe someone wants to speak to the gap before I go into my rigmarole. But there was a problem.
Please. I don't know about this gap. I literally just found out, like, today that there was a webtoon that it was based on, which is probably why it was such a good drama. I found that, dramas based on webtoons tend to be better written. But yeah, I want to hear the rigmarole. Please continue.
Funny. So it's the typical time paradox, right? If you have, let's say 2 men, if you have his past, who he was, and I'm horrible with names, you all know this, and you have Dojun, right? If you have, am I mixing up characters? God help me. But if you
Dojun is Song Joong Ki. Yes, you're fine.
Okay, thank you. So if you have Dojun and he then takes over, like, the original guy takes over Dojun's body, right? And then he goes forward, then there's no reason for who he used to be to exist. If he lived, if he didn't have the accident, then who he was would not have existed to go back in time. If you get what I'm saying? Like, let's say the accident had happened, but he had lived as a result of the accident. The person he used to be would not have been killed. None of that would have happened to send him back. So he had to die so that the timeline continued. It's some classic sci-fi BS. You get what I'm saying?
And so that's not my issue. My issue was never that Dojun woke up, or that, WH, because that's who his original character was, because he always used those initials, WH. WH woke up. That was not my issue. My issue is, how in the hell did he kill himself? That's where I'm stuck.
It makes perfect sense. Okay, so they explained it, but super fast, because they were rushing a little bit at the end. What had happened was, when WH was young, he had to take all kinds of odd jobs to get by, because his father had put them into extreme debt. One of the jobs he took as a truck driver for a sketchy dude of the Songyang Corporation. Like, he was low in the totem pole. So basically, his only job on that day in the original timeline was to go to take that white truck. It's always a white truck, right? Park at that stop sign and get the hell out. That was what he was told to do. Those were his directions, because he was the person who made Dojun. Wait, Lord help me, helped
Do
him,
June.
Do June stop and cause the accident. So he was an accessory. And so what they did to pay him back, because in the original timeline, he did kill the youngest grandson, was they said, hey, we know we know that you helped us out. What we're going to do is jumpstart your career and make you and put you in a place in the organization. That's how he got to be secretary. He had, remember from the very beginning, he had he didn't even have a college degree. Everyone talked about how far he came based on nothing, that he was super hyper about his job because he didn't get there naturally. He got there because they moved him up, and they moved him up because he was instrumental in killing the grandson.
Right. Mm-hmm. That part was clear for me.
So that's how he ended up there. He was the reason the grandson died. The problem is, the reason you might be confused is the same reason I'm confused about Alchemy of Souls. They used the same actor for two bodies. Because if you had seen old WH or whatever, looking back, it would have been very clear to you. But because it was like the same
so
person,
then thank you. That's all that was the whole problem. But he said, I killed myself. He said,
exactly.
I am the reason that I died, which I understand the whole how he wound up becoming the secretary. That part, again, not lost. It was how are you killing you? I'm lost. But fine, if we're saying that they just did not use a separate actor, fine, I'll take that.
Right. That's
and
what
I
it was.
think also, remember the courtroom where the guy comes in and he was an alcoholic, and like he comes in, he tells them that, yeah, I confess I was driving the truck. Isn't that supposed to be him? Or is that supposed to be the guy driving the other truck? That was where I was confused.
That was the guy who was working
Smashed
with
it.
No. He didn't smash it. He wasn't the truck driver. He was Do Jun's driver. Remember, all through the drama, at first the driver was kind of spying for the second uncle, but then Do Jun convinced him to like pretty much be a double agent. That was him. He was the one driving.
But see, even
the personal driver of Dojuna.
Yeah. Right. Even he turned around though and said in his quote unquote drunken state that I'm sorry, Dojun, I'm sorry for what I did. So like, I don't know. I think that was part of where I feel like that's why they got a 9.5 and not a 10 for me, is that 0.5 is that y'all tried to play with that ending a little too loosely instead of tying it up neatly. That part was the only problem I had, because even he made his testimony. They struck it and said it wouldn't be used, but it was still given. And that was a problem to me because all of that kept leading to Dojun and WH were the same person, and they couldn't have been.
Exactly. They couldn't have been. You're right. And it, like something else said, it would have been clearer if they had used two actors. But I think of it like the Alchemy of Souls situation, where it's like Alchemy of Souls in Reborn Rich, right? Where like the two souls are really in the same body now, but they're like the same person because the other person is dead. Anyways, point being, for me, it helped me to understand it like they are the same person now. That just helped me.
And see, and you know what? Let me just speak to that, because there are two. Maybe I could have rated it lower, but I love it so much that I'm not going to. So I had two major issues with it. Number one, how did WH know, hey, let me record this conversation? Because that's not how I work. Something happens, I forget the order of events, and that may be on me and you all can explain. But I'm like, the minute you call your supervisor talking about, hey, why do you have me sitting here? Why would he record that conversation? He doesn't know that accident is going to happen unless he called after the accident. And then he's like, let me record this conversation, which I can kind of understand. So that one was confusing to me. And then the other thing that was confusing to me, I can't remember what it is. It'll come back to me. My bad, you guys.
No worries. I feel like that part was completely believable to me within the realm of K-drama land, because in K-drama land, people will randomly hit record at moments in which we never see them actually hit the recording button. And also, like, the fictitious land that is K-drama land, like, random recordings emerge, right? I also feel like in real South Korea, like, recording devices are pretty common. So I could see how he could have just, like, hit, knew that something was off and let me just hit record because I don't know what's going on kind of thing. But I actually believe the recording aspects. It seems to me like Koreans record a lot of things. I don't know. That's my take on it. What about you, Song?
I've got nothing on that. For me, more than anything, I think I felt like that was more of you're confusing these two separate entities as one, and that was throwing me off because it's not Alchemy of the Souls, and I couldn't accept, my suspension of disbelief is always thrown off, so I couldn't accept that. Hold on, how are we functioning like this? So again, that was my 0.5 takeaway because, I just couldn't.
Got you. Yeah, that's when I took it. My suspension of disbelief was like, it emerged in that point. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, he had a recording. But overall, I like the ending. I think you something else. I think you're right that it couldn't really have ended any other way. And like, I was initially really, really angry about the ending, because Parma had predicted it like 14 episodes ago, but also like the whole well, I'm not going to completely spoil for Lenore because I think she already knows what. Oh, you like spoilers? She said, yeah, him being like, oh yeah, I will go back into the past and I will have killed myself thing. I was like, when she told me that, I was like, no, because I can totally see it happening. 2 episodes and I'm like, yes, that's probably what's going to happen. But hopefully they won't do that. But then they did it, and I was like, pissed the first time because of that, and secondly because it felt like it was all a dream kind of thing, kind of coma situation, where people fall into a coma and then like, they wake up and they're like, oh my God, I lived this other life, but it was all a dream. And so I was pissed about that. But then I watched it again and people were like, nah, it was not all a dream. It was not. That was a misinterpretation. So let me see this thing again. And I watched the episode a second time. I'm like, okay. It was not, it was all a dream. It was like, no, I am that person. I remember all of those things. And I was like watching Alchemy of Souls. I'm like, okay, there's just an Alchemy of Souls situation where you just came back, a reincarnation. But I also appreciated that it wasn't like a revenge thing, but more of a like recompense, like making up for past wrong situation. That gave me a little bit more.
That part I liked. That part I really, really liked.
Right? It was like it gave it a little bit better closure, because revenge dramas can get kind of like, well, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Like, why are you still trying to get revenge? Your grandfather likes you. He respects you. You're making a lot of money. When you win, when you like get your revenge, you'll actually be on the top, and you will just become the person that everybody else hates, right? But it's like, oh, they clearly said like, this is not about revenge. I was like, oh, what is it about? I was listening like attentively. I was like, wait, it's not? Anybody's like, yeah, it's about like making up for past wrongs. Like, oh, I get it now. Like, and it made, it tied it up nicely in a bow for me.
And I also think it helped DW with his kind of, I think it kind of readjusted him a bit, because in his original life, he was very...
Are we talking WH?
Oh, WH, thank you. Look, I can't even do 2 letters. WH, okay? Let me look at it in my head. WH, okay. So, because WH had a horrible relationship with his father, he barely was involved with his brother. It was like he was taking care of them, but he didn't kind of have that familial feeling. And so living as Dojun allowed him to experience family in both good and bad ways. It wasn't lost on me that he was then part of a family unit. He had this, loving brother. He had caring parents. And he got to experience, he had parents the first time around, but they had been through so much as a family. And so he got to experience something better, something different. And I think that when he went back, he was different, because I think there was one small scene or something where he was talking to his father or his brother or something, and he was warmer. And so I was like, yeah, he came back and kind of was refreshed. He was kind of on point now. He understood what he was supposed to do, that he was supposed to, find justice for Do-jun.
He understood the assignment.
Exactly.
All right, so I have a question for you, Lenora. I know you said you haven't finished it, but thus far, where you are and what you have watched, what are you thinking?
I'm really liking it, and it's funny that when you guys described the ending, it kind of like was foreshadowed at the beginning when he sees himself as a child, and he's kind of looking at it, and he's like, oh, it's going to change time. I think in episode 2, he was just like, oh, like time is being changed because I'm here. So that kind of does give away the ending in a way, but if people weren't paying attention, they wouldn't know. But it kind of is hinting that like it's something to do with time, and like any type of show that has time travel where somebody goes back in the past. Like there's a German series that called Dark that came out like 2-3 years ago, and it was pretty big on Netflix. It had similar theme. And so like you just know from the beginning of watching it that like with time travel, if you go back in time or you replace somebody or take their life, it's going to affect you in the future. And then you may not even exist, or you might be dead or something like that, or be a completely different person. So that kind of hinted from the beginning. But I really like it. So that's why I was like, I don't mind spoilers because I'm still going to finish it because it's really good.
I think Lenora broke up a little bit at the end.
Did I like cut out at the end? Can you guys hear me?
Just a little bit, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so basically, yeah, I was saying that it hinted, I don't know what part you guys heard, but I was basically saying that it hinted the ending that you guys said described the show. It kind of hinted or foreshadowed it in like episode 2 and 1 a little bit when he was realizing, oh my gosh, I'm in the past. So if I do something here now in the past, it's going to affect the future. And like, if you've ever watched time travel shows, you'd realize that something like that means that he's either going to not exist when he wakes up or gets to the future, or he's going to be like a completely different person because he's like gone back in the past and he's like made changes to it. So yeah, that's why it kind of like did hint at it like in episode 2, and I really like it. And I just like the writing and the acting and all the family members and just everything that he's going through, the journey. So I'm definitely going to finish it.
You know, one thing that's interesting to me, when you mentioned the family members, was that when we got to episode, I think 16 or 15 even, when like he's like in the coma and we see all the new people, all the people who are like in episode 1, but who are like just older now. I was like, who are these people? I don't recognize anybody. I was like, who's that? Who's that? Who's this one with the gray hair? And then they're talking, I'm like, that was his mom. But whose mom? I don't remember. Is that Do-jun's mom or is that WH? It was so confusing for me. Yeah.
Honestly, I liked it. I liked that they aged them and that we could see clearly we were in 2 different timelines, because that helped me, honestly, because that I'd be struggling. That helped me basically to see, oh, okay, we've moved on, and this is because Do-jun and WH never changed. They look the exact same in any timeline. So seeing the other people kind of helped me understand basically what was going on. Because yeah, I would have been confused too. Because like the aunt and the uncle, seeing them age was funny. But yeah, that was Do-jun's mom, not WH's mom. Because remember, WH's mom passed. So Since we touched on that, I would like to ask about the concept of cheating death, because that is something me and something else had discussed. And I felt like in this drama and most dramas that we watch that are similar to this, you get that whole concept of whatever is supposed to be is going to be no matter how it shifts. So like the grandfather dying, the mom dying, Do-jun even having his breach with death, all of that had to happen because that was what was the original plan in so many words. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, it definitely makes sense because if those characters never died, including Dojun, it would create like a loophole in time, and that's when you have like a more sci-fi aspect. If they wanted to like go more with the sci-fi and make a season 2, but since they wrapped up the story, everything had to go back into place towards the end of the storyline, so it makes sense.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
So I was basically saying, since we were talking about the concept of cheating death and what me and something else when we had our discussion, basically like he saved his grandfather from the initial timeline where he was supposed to die in that airplane, but his grandfather had to die anyway and he wound up dying. Dojun, he was living out Dojun's life past when he initially was supposed to die, but again he had to die anyway. His mom, he tried to save his mom from dying, but she wound up dying anyway. She killed herself in the second timeline. So I was just asking, like, what is you all's opinion about the concept of cheating death and how this story dealt with it?
Oh my goodness. Oh, so now we're gonna get into like, okay, the things that irk me about the show, because I felt as though the people who aged were often the women. They put them in the gray hair, and like the guys who aged, maybe they give like the American quote unquote Korean dude, like they made him age, but I feel like that's probably what his hair would look like normally. Whereas it didn't feel like Song Joong-ki did not age a day, right? And like 17 years is a long time for a person not to age. I mean, I guess in real life he doesn't really age either as the actor.
Exactly, because he still looks the same as he did back then.
Yeah, and I think they used some CGI when he was a quote unquote college student to make him get rid of some of those lines and wrinkles. Well, he doesn't have wrinkles, so some of those lines and face stuff. But the cheating death thing, I was like, I didn't really feel like they were only the mom, because women in Korea are expendable, right? That's how I feel about these Korean dramas. They just tell us over and over, like, yeah, you can just get rid of one woman, just replace her with another one, just get another one, right? Not with the dudes though. And I just felt like, oh yeah, the mom was expendable. Oh yeah, she was gonna die anyways. But the grandfather had lived a nice long life long after he was gonna die, right? He was supposed to have died in that plane accident or that plane terrorist attack. And he lived like for decades, I think, after that. And then for Song Joong-ki's character, I think that he also died like much later than he would have otherwise. But this is where I was a little fuzzy, because I was like, did Jonah, did he die in his 20s? Did he die sooner than that? Did he die in his what age was he when he died? Because my sense was that in the original like first episode, he died pretty young, but then in the second episode or the second life, he dies much later. So it seems as if the guys get to live a lot longer, even when they're cheating death than the lady did. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, you know what? I agree with you. Initially, because the mother comes to his second mother comes to the family and says, "How did you kill my son?" For some reason, I thought he died young. But unless you all correct me, that wasn't explicitly said. So he could have died at the same time as, when he did die, right? And she was asking that question in the future. And if we understand that the timeline did not actually change per se, just because he went back in the past. I mean, it changed in small ways, like with his mother and with his grandfather, but it wasn't like he survived an accident and then, continued living. The mother clearly believed that.
No. Remember when he got into that accident with his grandfather in the car with him, he said then, oh, now I remember why I didn't know 4-2 or whatever his number was, because he had died. And he was saying in so many words, I guess he had died in that car crash. Again, it's implied, it's not explicit, but the second car crash is what officially killed him.
Okay. And so towards that, I now remember the thing that got on my nerves that I forgot to say earlier in this episode that got on my nerves. And it's the same thing that gets on my nerves with Alchemy of Souls, but we'll get to that later. and that is I'm tired of folks getting replaced and we just let it go. In the beginning, in episode 2 of Reborn Rich, when young Do-jun gets replaced, that's trifling. Y'all just completely erase a little boy.
Thank you.
He had a whole personality, and that's my beef with Alchemy of Souls. So I've talked about this. He had a whole personality, favorite toys, favorite TV show. Like, he got plans and wishes in his life, and he completely gets erased as what, an 11, 12-year-old? That was trifling. That was trifling.
I completely agree. Women and children can be just thrown out. Like, we don't need them anymore. Moving on. I hate that. I loathe it. Yeah, and the guy who played him, we've seen him in so many dramas, always doing a phenomenal job. And it's kind of amazing to watch him even grow up and see him as like a slightly older version of himself. It's like, oh, I remember you from so many dramas. I just can't remember which dramas they were. But you've been in a lot of dramas, and I've seen you as a little bitty boy. I see you as a boy, and I'm seeing you as like a preteen, essentially. It's like, oh.
Right. And so you applaud that he has the role, but like, and that's great. But I was just like, the original Do-jun got erased.
Yeah, they just threw out.
Just like Alchemy of Souls, I'm trifling, but this is the only way I can like describe her unless Songray helps me out. But original, the woman who could not see, she gets erased until you find out that she's sitting in some water floating around, right? So then you go, oh, there's a chance that she could come back, and she keeps on getting played in part 2. But we'll get to that later. So that was my beef. And then I want to make 2 other points, both of which you all can respond about. But number 1, I want to speak to how lackluster the romance was. It was great. I mean, it wasn't bad. Let me not say lackluster. I just don't feel like they gave it enough oomph towards the end, because they gave us a nice kind of floating romance between the prosecutor and Do-jun, and they kept them kind of circling each other and falling in love. And then we get to the end, and all we get is like she has a hint of a memory that's 17 years old of, a conversation she had with Do-jun. As you can see, I can't even barely remember HWWH. And this chick is remembering a conversation for 15, 17 years ago for her to go, maybe I should give that stranger a chance. I mean, I was like, come on, y'all could have done a little bit more towards giving us hope for their romance. That's number 1. And number 2.
But before you go to number 2, hold your thought. Right. I'm going to have to say, I feel like we have to keep in mind, and this is how come I continually had an issue with that ending. Do-jun and WH were 2 different people, and WH and the prosecutor had no relations other than she showed up at the company to serve them warrants or whatever she did. Right. So there was like, in order for them to give any kind of inclination that they could possibly have something, it had to be something that he pulled from his memory of her from when he was dating her as Do-jun, because he still had those memories, and something that she could kind of pull in, and that was the Taejun, the K-pop actor, or the K-pop guy. So the fact that Taejun, I think it was, I could be wrong, who was having a comeback, that was all he could work with. So I don't know, it just had to make sense for me, because honestly, the 2 of them had nothing to do with each other for them to have I remember you, you. Like, she would now have to go, am I fucking crazy am I crazy because how did I wind up talking to this guy who I have nothing to do with, because I'm trying to remember. So, you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't work. For him, it works, but for her, it doesn't work.
No.
That's just too weird.
No, I agree with you. It would be completely, utterly weird. Like, come on now. Especially since he had a hand in the love of her life dying. I mean, she's been wearing black for like 6 years. She's been ride or die. I was like, respect, chick, respect. But what I wanted the writers to do better. I wanted, because it made perfect sense that of course she wouldn't have any kind of feelings for him. And I even understood him like making a decision. You can see him make a decision like, am I going to shoot my shot? Nah, I'm going to step away, because he kind of knew he didn't have the place to do that, which was, very mature of him. Okay. Like for teenagers, very mature, sir. But I wanted the writers to kind of give a little bit more, like, even like, let's go to lunch, or like, oh, I wanted a little something more to build on than just a half-hearted 17-year-old memory, like something. Anyway.
This is where I disagree with you, because I thought that the romance was not necessary for this story. I don't know why they keep doing this. They keep writing these brilliant, beautiful storylines, and they try to force a romance into it. And from what I understand, the webtoon had a romance that was fleshed out, that was well written, that was believable. But the version that we see on our screens, to me, from the very beginning, I was like, how can they be in a relationship? I see nothing there. I see no spark. I see no chemistry. I don't even see them going out on real dates, for this to be like a relationship. And like the funny thing is, like, I think that she was what somebody calls a moppet. Somebody who's just there to like move the story forward. She doesn't really have any like feelings or sentiments of her own. She doesn't have her own storyline. Like, everything in the story is about her relationship to the main character and just moving the story forward, which she does beautifully. Does it pass that Bechdel test? Not at all. Like, you never see her talking to another woman about how hard it is to be a lady lawyer or no, not going to happen, because she's just there to talk about dates G-grade, right? But like, you knew he was going to die when he started talking about building a future with her. I'm like, okay, it's over. It's over. When I heard these K-drama actors or storylines, when they're like, oh, you know what I want to do? You know what we need to do? We need to go hiking. Let's go to Japan and like climb Mount Fuji together. They're going to die. You can't do that in a K-drama. Do not make future plans. You will be dead. You will die.
You're right. You're right. I mean, there are so many like red flags. Okay, this is coming. But the thing is, I love like a little insert, the insert of romance where it can be. I'm just like, oh, let's just add a little flowers to the edge of the border. Okay, Bob Ross style. Can we just add some extra trees in the back to make this a little bit nicer? I love that.
You know what? I think it would have totally worked if they did not have them in a romantic relationship throughout the story, or like pretending to be in one, and then at the end, him throwing her a bone. I think that would have worked better. If he was like, hey, we didn't get together in my last life, but hey, you're kind of cute.
Well, I totally agree, because I feel like that was the bigger issue, is that instead of them, because he even made a comment to her about there was a woman he loved who loved Taejun, and I'm going, you loved her? I couldn't tell. Like, the way y'all acted, I didn't know that was a love relationship happening. I thought y'all were just flirting. Like, what is this? But I feel like had they let that completely go, him and her could have had something at the end.
Yeah. You all are right. You're right about like where they place that romance. But I will say, speaking to, kind of what we knew about her, we did get a bit about her. We knew that when she first started at the prosecutor's office, that they completely dismissed her, right? And she was fighting an uphill battle. But that uphill battle happened, like her kind of getting her team, that happened super quick. Because I was like, you've been doing press ops and suddenly you're like leading the team and whooping butt. So it was kind of confusing. And there was a time when Dojun took her to that kind of bougie, rich kids event, and she was like solidly middle class, and he was speaking to her privilege, that she didn't feel comfortable belonging there. So I don't think they gave a lot on this chick. I agree. They did not give a lot, but they did a little. They just did a little.
Again, A for effort.
Right. Oh, and then the other thing I wanted to speak to super quick, and this is just like a shout out, a nod, a bow, I love you, sir. The guy who played the grandfather, Lee Sun-min. I mean, we've always seen him. We've seen him in so many roles. But I want him to win all kinds of awards for this one, because he brought it. When he died, I actually was like, do I want to even watch the rest of this drama? Because I
Thank
love him
you
so much. So, what do y'all think?
Oh yeah, 100%. I was like, "Ooh, this actor! I've seen him in so many things, and I love him in everything he does." And I was so glad that he avoided death so many times. Like even with the car accident, the first car accident, I was like, "Oh no, they better not get rid of him because I really like him as an actor." And he brought it the whole show. I'm like, best assistant. What do they call him? Assistant actor? No, supporting actor.
Supporting actor.
Best. Give him all the back things, please.
Thank you, because that's exactly what I was about to say.
When he died, I was like, no, he's not dead yet. He's just on the ground. But when my mom was like freaking out, I was like, wait, Mom, why are you freaking out? He's coming back. I was like, no, it can't be. He can't actually. And he died in such a way that was just like, oh, he's just lying on the floor. There was no gasping for air. There was no reaching out to the next person and failing to touch them and grasping the air instead. No, he just fell out of his wheelchair and died.
Well, it's crazy because, and you all can clear this up for me, because towards the end, I was just like, okay, this is getting murky, and that whole family is just ratchetry on top of ratchetry. So we know that the mother, his wife, caused the car accident. And then she was feeding him pills to kill him, right? Because remember, she didn't want anyone else to give him tea, and she was in charge of his drugs. And then when the daughter-in-law of the oldest grandson's wife, when she kept on hanging around, and she came over and kind of told mother-in-law, hey, she told her something, and then mother-in-law left the drugs. Am I right in believing that the way he really died was that she killed him with drugs?
I'm not sure that I perceived that she was the reason that was happening like that. I think she knew that daughter-in-law was extremely messy and power hungry, and in her desire to be power hungry and move the way she wanted to, if she knew how ill he was, she would have tried to make a play for moving her husband into the leadership position. That's how I perceive that. But before we go on, I'm going to jump back real quick to Lee Sang-min. Lee Sang-min was so on point, y'all. And I'm agreeing with Dr. Chi. Yes, give him all of the awards at the end of the year. This coming up 2023, we need to see him on all the shows, because he played that part from being extremely domineering, over the top, really conniving, to being a little bit of shifty, to showing his loving side, to being senile, to even the scene where he urinated in the elevator. He played that role he was on point. He just took the show for me. He's a scene stealer, to the point, like both of you said, when he left, you didn't want him to be the one gone. Hell, you could have took Dojun. We good. Keep going with Grandpa. So back to the grandma, though.
No. Before you get to the grandma, let me also say this. Did y'all not tear up at the scene where Dojun sees the video of Grandpa, and Grandpa is like, "You're my son, you're my grandson." I was like, "Oh, y'all making me cry for real." Oh
Yes.
I played that scene 3 times because I was like, "Oh my goodness!" I was like, "Go on, Dojun, go on, cry what's her name? Viola Davis. Go on, let those snot bubbles fall," because it was real. I was like, I would be crying like a fool for that scene. Anyway.
Yeah, and also, real talk, if Song Joong Ki had died and I just got to watch The Grandfather, I probably would have kept watching. I think you're right.
I'm telling you, I would have.
I think I'd be like, well, I'm sorry, Song Joong Ki, you don't get these next episodes. But let's see what Grandpa's going to be doing. Man, that actor dude, right? But I agree with you, Sungray. I think if anything, we see earlier in the show that the grandfather is asking the doctor, look, can you give me some pills so I can function, so I can look alert, even if it's just for a couple of hours a day, even if I know that I'm dying, but can you give me something? And the doctor's like, yeah, I'm going to give you something. And that's when he goes to the conference or the meeting of the board to judge to make figure out who's going to be the next leader. So I think that those were the pills that the grandma was trying to avoid the other girl knowing about. She didn't, because if she had found out what pills he was taking, she would be able to like Google it and find out what his diagnosis was and realize, oh, this guy's got dementia and he's taking these pills so that he can be alert and like fend off some of the symptoms of dementia. And I think that's why the grandma didn't want her to get those pills. Point being, like, I think you're right in the sense that she's like, she doesn't want that girl to know anything about grandfather's health because she would use it against him.
Okay. No, thank you all for explaining, because I was like, I'm confused now. Like, what is going on with these pills? Like, which way are we going with this? So that was, yeah. I mean, we need to, like, all hell. Yi Sung-min, all hell. Okay. Sungray, what else were you going to mention? I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
I was just going to say, back with grandma again, I kind of feel like, yes, she did cause she was the reason for the cause of the accident, but I think it was because she wanted Dojun gone, not because she was trying to take her husband out. I think she wanted Dojun gone because if you pay attention to how that car accident took place, it hit Grandpa's side first and it spun the car around, and then the truck came to Dojun's side. She was trying to kill him off.
Because grandma doesn't know that in car accidents, you can't predict exactly where the car is going to land. She's not an engineer, right? I don't know if she's like,
well, no, remember though,
where do I hit the car to make sure that it won't spin out of control and it'll actually hit the right side? No, she wasn't doing that.
Yeah, but remember though, the driver, Dojun's driver, took the hit to avoid him being hit. So yes. The truck was coming in and he drove in to block it from hitting. That's what kept him from dying. True.
She didn't expect that. But that was
she thought old boy was on.
How did he come? Where did he come from? That was the thing I was watching. I was like, who's this other car? Why are there two impacts?
It's K-drama land, Dr. G. It's K-drama land.
See, that was where I was a little mad. I started getting a little mad there. I was like, wait, I heard, because I think it ends on that, accident. And I'm like, okay, there's two hits. What's happening? And we see the other guy came in. I'm like, I know the next episode they would explain where this other car came from. No, it was never explained, like why this guy took the hit for Dojun. And I'm like, wait, why? Who would do that? Why? But whatever. You're right, K-drama land. It's just in the ether. It's just explain it away. And I kept watching.
So, is there anything else to add? Anything else that's confusing? Any other accolades to give before we move on to Alchemy of Souls Part 2?
Yes, there's one other thing I want to say. Do you guys notice the skin darkening element that they use on the ladies, on the bad girls? Because I thought it was interesting how grandma was a little brown from the beginning. I was like, that's a little interesting because in K-drama land, like brown women don't exist in South Korea. You got to use those skin bleaching products to make your skin white and shiny or what have you, right? But they didn't do that with grandma. But she was also wearing a hanbok, so I was like, okay, maybe she's just really traditional. She's like, I don't need to use those things, right? But then, like at the end of the show, where like even the wife of the politician, they like didn't give her the quote unquote skin lightening creams. And there was moments in the show where you could see that the necks of the actresses were very pale, but the faces of the actresses were very brown. And they're doing a little bit of brown face to show us, like, hey, this is a bad person. And I was like, oh, that's right. That's how they interpret brown skin. And I just thought that was interesting. Because they don't do it with guys, not as much. But they definitely, it's kind of odd to see a woman with a tan.
You know what? I noticed the skin tone, but I didn't even get deep with it. So thank you, Dr. Chi, for bringing that level of deepness. Because all I thought was, I just thought that she was like natural, quote unquote, natural, not made up the way her, daughters-in-law were, because they all were like made up to some degree. But I didn't think about I didn't take it to that deep level, so I'm going to have to let it marinate in my mind, okay? Because I'm going to be looking at the skin tones of all these chicks, especially the villainous ones. I'm going to be like, chick, are you a little tall? Do you look a little darker? Could you be part of my family? Oh, okay, I I see you. Thank you for that.
But that's the thing, though. Like, I feel like this year has had, or 2022 has had amazing villainesses in several dramas. I don't know if, I think Inspector Coup came out in 2022, but I could be wrong. I think from Inspector Coup to Why Her, like, so many bad girls, and they've all been pale bad girls. So that's why it really stuck out to me in this drama. I was like, wait, what's happening?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you because, like, honestly, no, I never really looked at that at all or paid attention till you just said it. But in my mind, I perceived it as an aging thing. Like, you know, when you age, your skin can sometimes darken. Then I was like, well, maybe that's not it. Maybe it's because we're talking time period. In that time period, that they have those types of makeups, and so they're trying to be true to the time. I don't know. I just kind of wonder about that. That's interesting. And yes, I am going to be looking now. Like, you got me over here doing all kind of mind thoughts.
No, she's having us over here doing paper bag tests. That's what she has us doing. Oh my gosh.
Well, maybe it was a makeup artist, because like they were like darker than usually see women. Like, men can be across the color, right? You'll see, I mean, usually the guys who are the leads are the palest ones. But like other guys, the supporting actors, they can be brown, they can be white. But the women are almost always like translucent, right? Like even the baddest, oldest ladies, they will looking tight and right in their eyes. But then this show is like, oh, you guys are doing something different. I've not seen this before. But also, I'm new to K-drama, so maybe I don't have the expertise to have noticed it in other shows.
I think it's because it taking place in the 80s, so maybe that's why. Is that why?
That was what I was thinking, but I could be, like I said, I could be wrong. I truly don't know. But in my mind, I was like, one, aging as you get older, and two, it was a timepiece. So maybe they were being extremely authentic, and those kinds of makeups didn't exist back then. I don't know.
Yeah, but that is true. But let me ask this question. I don't know if they gave us any hint of this, but given that Grandpa came from humble beginnings, Grandma didn't come from humble beginnings, did she? I'm just wondering.
I have no idea.
No clue.
Because I think that she would have, she was very consistent in that. I think that regardless of what level of class she was in, she would have wanted her children to inherit. So I'm not surprised by all of that, her actions and how she was. She was very traditional, but I was just wondering where her socioeconomic background was, because we know that he initially was straight up driving trucks. So.
Before we go on, Lenora, share what you posted, because she shared some good information about Lee Sung-min.
Sure. I posted in the chat tweet thingy, basically that he deserves like all his flowers. I loved him in King Two Hearts. That's the first time I saw him in a K-drama that came out like 2012 with Ha Ji-won and Lee Sung-gi. So if you want to see him in a drama where he's much younger, and he's playing less of a villain, more of like a pleasant, like warm character, then watch him in that in King Two Hearts. It's like a royal family K-drama. And also my friend watched him in Misang, which is like a office slice of life drama. So you can see him in that as well. That came out 2014, so his earlier work. And he's just a really strong actor. I hope he gets to do even more roles as well. Like, people write him and recommend him for more roles because he's really good.
Yeah, no, you know what? I went back and looked at his previous dramas because I remember him from Miss Sang and going, oh, he kind of existed through the whole series, even though maybe technically he was supporting somehow. But I wanted to go check out Shadow Detective because he is the lead in Shadow Detective, and they're coming out with a Shadow Detective season 2. So I'm like, oh, if they're doing a whole season 2, okay, and it's not on Netflix, I need to check that out. That first one must have been really good. But yeah, love him.
All right, so it sounds like we are ready to move on to Alchemy of Souls.
Insert girly squeal.
Oh, insert something else's heavy sigh.
Where do we
So let's just go ahead and begin with you. Something else. I think that is only fair. You share with us where you are, what you think, and how you feel.
You know what? I don't want to take away because I know I'm still confused about this. So I defer to those of you who love it. I defer to Dr. Chi Squill because I'm telling you, this drama is confusing. We talked about it in a separate Black Girl Soul episode. Y'all can go listen to that. Shameless plug. Because I know I'm confused. I know I am. Even when I think I got it right, I come back around and it gets confusing. I'm on part 2 now. And I'm telling you right now, the most this show is going to get from me is a B. And that's only if they end it well. We only have, technically 2 episodes left. So unless you tell me there's going to be a part 3, which, God, I don't know if I can do it, y'all. I cannot do it. But I don't know how they're going to end this right based on what I'm seeing so far. So I'm going to defer to Dr. Chi, and I'm going to, through osmosis, try and be more excited about this drama than I naturally am.
So I am not, my girlish squeal was not for the drama. It was for the opportunity to talk with you guys about the drama. So that was the girlish squeal. It was for you guys, okay? It was for you guys and Lenora. Okay, I was like, finally get to tell you about it. Okay, because you were confused because the writing is a hot mess. They don't even know what they're doing with the writing. They tell us one thing in one episode, and then the next episode they tell us something else. And the third episode, like, oh, but this other thing, it's like, y'all don't even know.
Preach.
Y'all don't even know.
Preach.
You tell us one thing, like, oh, it's because they're both inhabiting, Bu Young's body. And, in order for them both to be alive, then, they have to both stay in the body. Fast forward to episode 7, like, oh, yeah, like Naksu's body soul will eventually disappear, and they'll both be in Bu Young's. Which is it? What is it? They don't know.
And they got a whole 2 actors to work with, 2 female actors, so they can bounce that back and forth and make some clarity, add some clarity and understanding. And they are purposely confusing the heck out of us, or at least out of me. But maybe I'm going to leave it to Lenora and Sung Rae to defend the whack writing that we are getting.
Yeah, I haven't really watched the series. I've only seen episode 1, so I'm just listening, guys. I've literally only seen episode 1.
All right, so I guess I'm taking this one all on my own.
You can do it.
Yes, I agree. The writing is kind of all over the place, and they are doing way too much. I don't feel I feel like when they wrote season 1, they had more time. They fleshed out thoughts and ideas. And so Netflix and the beast that is Netflix and the desire for us to always have more, in particular, because they're catering to the American audiences and the Western audiences, they pushed out this second season and didn't give themselves time to properly flesh this out. Now, I am fine with the sharing of the body. That's not bothering me. And again, in our episode that something else mentioned, I even said for me to be okay with something like this, they had to make it make some sense. And I get it. What I don't get, and I'm with you, Dr. Chi, is that now you're saying to us, Naksu's soul is going to eventually die because it's not her space to share. That's the problem I'm having, because initially Master Lee told us that one or the other was going to wind up being the, superior being, be it Naksu or be it Madogi. But at this point, I'm going to call her Madogi just for us to not be confused by people, because something else gets confused because she doesn't see the same, she sees the same body. Madogi was the blind girl. Naksu was the assassin. So for Naksu to now be the one that's going to leave the body is the part that's confusing me. Now, I've seen some theories and seen some people share some stuff. So like there's this thing, I think it's called KDrama Explain on YouTube. And they tried to break it down. And what they were saying was that basically Madogi has been eating Naksu's energy. in order for her to get back to where she was prior to being blinded and lost from her family, to get back to her being the strong priestess that she was. So she's been feeding off of Naksu's energy, in which case that's why Naksu is going to disappear. But I'm having an issue with, this is a little too erythro. You've taken me too far over here to the left, because how is that supposed to work? So her soul just gets disappeared, and then now we have Madogi, who, what is she going to remember being the priestess again? Is she going to remember when she was the blind chick? Like, where are we going to go with this? Like, I think that's where I'm thrown off and having my biggest confusion. Aside from that, I'm also having an issue with supporting characters, and I'll let you get in a second. The supporting characters of her sister, Bion's sister, and the one who's now leading Sungrim. What is that? How come they can't be together? What threw them off? Aside from the fact that Naksu and her father tried to kill folks, how did that get thrown off, and why can't they be together? Like, I don't know. I got a few issues, but moving on. I'm trying to support. I'm holding on. The whole 3 people in one body, that's not bothering me too much.
Can I just say that it's also been 3 years since, quote unquote, the last series, right? And how is it that, like, people want people to be, like, longing for people for these long periods of time, similar to Reborn Rich, whereas, like, 17 years have gone by. Prosecutor, don't you have a new boo? It's been a long time. Why are you still in mourning? You're not a nun. I'm sure you're a cute girl. Haven't other guys been trying to talk to you? Why are you still wearing black? It's like, I don't believe that. And similarly, in Reborn and Alchemy of Souls, I'm like, it's been 3 years. Like, leader of Sangrim, like, you could have moved. I mean, not the guy she's supposed to.
He's the leader now.
Yeah, he's the leader now. Couldn't you have found somebody else? You need to tell me there's no other cute girls in all of Sangrim. Okay, maybe you can only, like, be with other elites because, you're a leader, whatever. Fine. There are no other cute elite girls in all of these different territories for you to be with. And little sister is still, like, fawning for him. I'm like, what's wrong with you guys? This is weird. I don't like. I just can't. Sorry, I just had to, like, throw that in there because I'm like, what is happening?
And
that's why I think for the two
of doctor, the female doctor.
Oh, she's annoying the hell out of me.
Right. She is a mess, a hot mess. I'm like, chick, he don't want you. Can you send that head back? But she been waiting for 3 years too. She been just wandering. I thought she was just coming for a visit. She was supposed to do an internship and roll the heck back. This chick been floating around for 3 years too. This dude is problematic on a good day. He got race walking around him. He was cut in the heart by the love of his life. He don't want you. You ain't even problematic enough for him. Go get on.
And then the fact that you're going through all these changes, I just don't want to see him be hurt again. Girl, go lay down. He is not interested. On top of the fact, even if you did get Jubion or whatever her name is to go away, what made you think he was coming your way? What gave you the opinion he was coming to talk to you when he's giving you no airplay, no time, no anything? What the world?
Nothing, not nothing. But then I just saw that she was reading his love notes or however that stuff was going down.
No. So old boy who was the one from Seal Forest, I can't think of his name right now. I'm so sorry.
Is it Jewel or Yule?
Yeah, Yule. He wrote a letter basically because his plan was to take Naksu to the forest that they used to hang out in when they were younger, because he didn't realize her soul was going to disappear. He hadn't spoken to Master Lee yet. He was going to take her to the forest. He was going to kill her because he had this blood parasite in him and he knew he was going to die. So he was leaving behind basically his manifesto of here's what I did and here's why I did it. Well, when they saved him, old girl was there and the doctor chick decided, I'm kicking her out because I don't want her here. And so when the stuff came, she wanted to be helpful in some manner. She picked up the letter to, this might be important. It's sealed with energy. Old busybody doctor opens it, reads it, finds out that that's Naksu. And now she wants to try to avenge Jane Look.
And that's why I don't think 3 episodes, or somebody may correct me because she's caught up to everything. I don't think 2 episodes are enough to clean this mess up while still being respectful of the romance and the people. You know, like, no.
Unfortunately, I don't think so either, and I'm gonna have to agree that they're probably gonna try to stretch this out to a 3rd season. But I think that would be a travesty because unless they get rid of damn Jinmu, I'm gonna need them to get rid of him. He has gotten on my everlasting nerves. Why is he still walking? Why is he still talking? Why is he still running and controlling anything?
Oh, you mean Mr. Frosty?
Yes, Mr. Frosty.
Okay. Because I don't
Thank
know
you.
your names.
Why is Jinmu still alive? We've known since season 1 that he was trash. He's been coming for everybody. He's been trying to kill this girl using that soul shifter, using that soul shifter to kill these people, putting a soul shifter in the freaking queen. It's like, and then like I'm watching episode 7, they're like, oh, who will take responsibility for the blood parasite? I'm like, it's Jinmu. I'm like, oh no, let's go talk to the crown prince about this. Like, why? I'm like hitting the friggin' couch. I'm like, why are we even talking to all these other people? It's Jinmu. He's the trouble. He's a trouble.
Wait. Even with his sister, this is what I don't understand.
Before you get to the sister, hold. Why is the crown prince dealing with him? Does anybody know that?
I do.
Tell me, please.
Because he is still the head of that sect. And this is what I got at the end of episode 7. When he goes to see, when the crown prince and he go look at the constellation and stars. And I think that the crown prince is still worried about whether he will inherit. He's still worried because somebody else is walking around with that ice stone in their body. He's like, hey, I thought I was supposed to be the one. I thought I was supposed to be the hot one or the cold one. And I think that Jinmu is his connection. He's the astrologist for the prince. I think that's the only reason the prince still defends him, because he has the answers about whether he gets to be the cold one. He gets to be ice cold.
So Freeze. Here's the issue I'm having though. I know, right? Freeze, hilarious. So he is already the crown prince. Jang-uk has given no indication that he wants to become crown prince or that he wants to take over the throne. Why are you fighting an invisible fight?
Because he is still a threat. The person who is ice cold is the one who's supposed to inherit. According to part 1, when they were talking about the whole, you know better than me.
Yes, the guy who was born under the king's star is the one.
The king's star, yeah,
leading the people.
Exactly, and the prince knows if somebody else is walking around, theoretically, who can be that, and then especially since Mr. Frosty just told him, "Hey, this dude really can take your spot." That's why he's keeping him around. He doesn't have anybody else who's breaking it down to him like that.
There's no other astrologers in all of the kingdom who saw the king's star coming up in the heavens on the day that Uki was born. This Jinmu guy is the only one. I'm sorry, I've been always told in my life that you are replaceable in your workplace. Why is Jinmu not replaceable?
Because this is a K-drama.
Okay. Sorry, hello everyone. I just want to jump in on the Crown Prince thingy. There's this slight look he had on his face when he was asking Jinmu about the turtle. And you could see that the character, I've forgotten his real name, he really put in an effort when he turned and looked at the pool and looked back. Like Jinmu was totally lost, but the viewer could see that he had this frown on his face. And the way that Jungkook was so easily convinced to go to the North Fortress, I feel like there's still something there. I think there's a conversation that's hidden that will come as a flashback. Also, some subplots. Even Lord Park is in the same. It's like the way the three of them just seem to. Jinwoo is really excited that he doesn't have to convince this person. He doesn't have to manipulate this person. Oh, why are you agreeing to do all this? I think that those three men are in some triangle and Jinwoo is going to get his whatnot. Except that the Hong sisters really have messy writing, but
Thank you.
That's my take. If they were to redeem the situation, I think that's it. For anyone who has watched that episode, the way he spoiled his face, the way he spoiled his facial expression when the turtle was lost, you could.
And when he made that comment, because he made that comment to him about it being a weak-minded person who would keep that turtle around, and he said, "I had it because I was told it had good energy."
When he goes to town and says, I'm going to hide behind the crown prince. Since you said I'm going to hide behind Jinwoo. Since you said I should hide behind him, I'm going to hide. Why did he have to say that? Like it was something unwritten or not needed to be spoken between them. Just those three men, I think if the writing is to be redeemed, they have something that they're playing along for something. I really hope I turn out to be right. But if not, if this isn't right, I'm going to avoid the Hong Sisters series for a long time.
Thank you. It's Hong Sisters' messy writing. But remember, several episodes ago, we found out that this turtle is a special turtle that that its shell can be used for a particular type of powder that was being used for all sorts of witchcraft. Remember that Jinwoo was involved in. Remember that, guys?
I don't.
Yeah, that was why they were going into the marketplace and realizing that there was this powder. Oh, that's right. That the queen was giving those creams to the girls in her palace. Remember the queen with the jacket?
Yes.
The turtle shell to make it.
Make them dry out their skin.
Exactly. But you know what? It's too late. There's only 2 episodes left. I mean, there's 3 episodes left for me, but it's too late to be introducing new stories into the plot. The Hong sisters should be wrapping things up, and instead they're adding stuff. It's too late. I
promise you all, I feel like they're trying to go for season 3, but I'm going to also speak to Master Lee made that comment when he saw the turtle about the turtle having the energy of the blue tortoise or something, and that it directs people when they have lost their path. And as you see, when she gets sent to this, if you have not caught up, I apologize because I'm about to spoil it. So if you don't want to hear, this is the time for you to go ahead and skip out and come on back in. Any which way, this last episode 7, she was a 7 or 8. I don't know which one we're on. Anyway, she 8. Okay, he made his comment about the turtle. She goes and gets sent into that space by Jinwoo. She had the turtle with her, and so she was like, "Oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to find the plaque in this," because it was basically like another world. And the turtle starts walking, and she starts following it. So, I think this turtle is going to play a bigger portion in this than what we think. And I don't know. I do remember when they were talking about the queen making whatever that powder was, and I did remember her saving that turtle because she said that turtle had good energy. But this turtle's going to be used for something. What, I don't know, and I agree. We don't really have time for newness, but this is obviously about to be a pull for season 3.
This is why I think it's going to happen. Because a season 3 is sadistic and rude and unnecessary. I think that turtle is going to lead to Blind Chick. Blind Chick and Naksu are going to roll out at the same time because she still has not done her cameo, right? She hasn't done her cameo yet. I think
exactly.
I think they're gonna both roll out, and Blind Chick's gonna be like, "Yay! Now I get to be hidden in the room and sold off to some dude so I can make babies." And Naksu's gonna be like, "Yay! I got to get with my man who been waiting for me for 3 years," and they're gonna end it. They're gonna end it. Please, God, end it.
Wait, you think Naksu's gonna end up with Yul?
No, with Janguk, because that's who she in love with. She's not in love with Yul.
Right. I think, unless Blind Girl starts dating Seo Yul, He needs somebody. You know,
He's hurting.
He's been through a lot, and he keeps on between. Let's just keep it a buck. All the men love Naksu. All of them love Naksu at one point. He loved Naksu, except for, you know, old dude who was blonde, but now he's brunette and he's in love with her sister. Except for him, Seoul, the prince, and Wraith guy. I forget his name because I'm so sick of this. I'm not even trying to memorize names anymore. I'm done. I'm done, y'all.
Yeah. If there's a season 3, I will not be watching because I feel like this wasn't even a real season 2 because it's just not. I feel like it's really season 1B. And the way that they ended things with season 1 was like, it's called for something that was going to be Shazam, like pow in your face. And this season, quote unquote, season 2, I'm just like, this is not what I expected. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, MyOhMy is a listener. I brought her up as a speaker because she has really been in this series. She's shared a lot of information on Twitter, and she said she could help explain some things. So please.
Hi, everybody. Sorry, I was like, I've been, just theorizing all over the place for this show since forever and, have done so much research. And there's just some things that people have just missed, period, just starting from episode 1. And so if you notice in episode 1 you see the king and Jangang switch, and you don't see them ever switching back. They switch back just because they have that conversation, I think, in the flashback in episode 3 maybe.
Wait, how did they switch? I don't remember. Episode 1 was a long time for me.
Alchemy of the Souls. They had the Alchemy of the Souls.
Oh, the king?
The original king, the one.
Okay, yes. Okay, yeah.
So you actually never see those two people switch back. Like, you don't see, the whole, with the soul ejectors or whatever. You never see that scene. And so then, so that they switched back just because they had that conversation after in episode 3 or whatever. So then after that, initial switch, the next switch you see is the one between Mudok and Naksu, right? And you just automatically assume this is the first time they've switched, period, right? But you don't assume that this may be the second time they're switching back. and so, but that, you automatically think, oh yeah, they just, this is their first switch. It's not a switch back. But for me, I was like, okay, well, why did Naksu not go into her intended target, which was the barmaid or whatever girl, but instead she went to the Mudok body? And I was like, well, that's weird. And I was like, oh, wait, maybe she's swapping back. And that's why she automatically went to that body, to the Mudok body. So it might change how, you view a lot of things. And so then a lot of people were like, even right now, they're like, well, they're already assigned that Naksu is Choyoung and that Mudok is Booyeon. And so there's all these arguments and stuff. But I'm pretty sure that Naksu is actually Booyeon, who's gone through a bunch of, amnesia and just having all these memories sometimes that she thought was her own in the beginning, and all that stuff. So
that's an interesting theory.
Yeah, because I people keep on saying it's 2 souls in one body, but I'm like, this is souls switching, soul swapping. It's a 1-to-1, not a 1-to-2, and so we haven't, as besides Naksu Mudok, we literally have not seen a case where it's 2 souls in one body. And so for me, I'm like, it's just her soul, but it's a very fragmented soul. It's two sides of the same soul.
Okay, so like then think about the episode. You saw today's episode, right? So then how was Madogi, well, the young version of Madogi, or the original Buyun, I'm not even sure what we want to call her, how was she able to talk to Naksu?
I feel like for me, in those kind of scenes, it's like you're talking to yourself, you know, aside like your subconscious self that you have like locked away in your mind that you're talking to, you know, like people often have dreams talking to themselves, you know. That's how I picture these like scenes where you see like you know, little Jinbu Yan or like adult Jinbu Yan with the blindfold on. It's just she's talking to herself, but like parts of herself that's been locked away in her mind, whether due to trauma or whatever else.
Okay, I can receive that. Okay.
Well,
Yeah, I would agree with you. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, maybe we're gonna say the same thing. I could see some of that, but like they at some point had two separate bodies. So how are they the same person? Like in the first episode, we had two distinct people.
Yes.
So like what happened? It's the same thing with Reborn Rich. Like, did she just overwhelm? Did Naksu / Bo Young overwhelm herself? Like, what happened to the blind chick's personality? Like,
for me, that's like Cho Young Mudok. And since this is a soul swap, that soul went back to I just call it like the, you know, GYJ body. And it died. Like, it's gone. It's been gone.
Well, the thing is, I think Masterly explained earlier on that it wasn't a soul swap. He explained, and several people I think have explained on the show, that she's not a soul shifter, so bodies are not swapping. And that's what makes their situation so particular, that they have two souls within the same body.
But the people who explained the whole two souls thing was Master Lee. And when has Master Lee ever said anything outright? And so he... and I mean, Lord. And so he I've been watching him for a very long time, and that man talks like the Riddler. And you have to pay very close attention to all things he says, and you have to think about what is his motive. And that man uses reverse psychology like no other person.
Oh, you're coming from Master Lee. You're like, oh, he is not who he says he is.
Well, yes. No, you know what? Because I totally think that when it came to, I've shared this in our podcast, I totally think that when it came to him presenting Lady Jin with this concept and how to save Buyon's body, he threw it around and tossed it in. He did that whole King David thing. Do you want me to cut her in half, or do you want the whole thing? What do you want? And it was like the woman, she didn't know which way to go, and that's how we wound up where we are. It was him talking in circles.
Yeah, it was him talking in circles. But I think what he's trying to get, like, you know, people like Mama Jin, everyone to recognize is that this soul is the same soul, but you have to accept like the bad part of them, or the dark side, which is, you know, for Jinbu Yan, you know, everyone's like, oh, you know, she's like this really kind, you know, blah, blah person. But she also has this darkness in her that, you know, I guess you'd call her Naksu personality. And so, like, could Mama Jin accept that her daughter, like, grew up like this? That's hard for any parent to, you know, to swallow. You know, it's a tough pill to swallow. It's like, oh, my daughter got, like, kidnapped and, like, grew up to be an assassin. I don't know if she could handle that, you know? And so for me, I'm like, you know, I think that, you know, Master Lee's like telling her all these things to get her to recognize that this is part of how her daughter is now, and to see if she can accept that. Because had he told her, like, you know, right away, this, you know, your daughter is like Naksu, like they're the same people, it would be hard for her to accept that. And who knows, like maybe she would have pushed, you know, Jinbu Yan to, or, you know, Naksu or whatever, to like, to feel pressure to like take up, you know, the leader position, all this other stuff, and that might cause her to run wild and, you know, stuff like that. So I think Master Lee's just trying to do it he's saying and lying to these people to ultimately like help Jin Woo-yeon out in the long run. So
yeah, because you know, when I went to my drama list and then I saw that actress had 3 different roles, I was like, huh? Because I was ready for 2 roles, right? And then I was like confused by seeing Naksu, Choi Young, and Jin Boo Young. I was like, okay, I was expecting Naksu and Boo Young. And I was like, okay, so now y'all splintering it off and saying Cho Young? Okay, Cho Young? Yeah, it's a lot.
yeah,
it's too much.
It's a lot. And people are just getting more confused as, you know, as things are progressing, and it's just, yeah, it's like a cascade, like confusion, and then it's like you just feel lost.
And it's called bad writing, right? Let's call it what it is. The writers didn't have a story. They wanted to change the story midway, and they want to change it again, like, you know, 5 episodes in, and then now 3 episodes in, and now they're telling us a different story. Why can't you guys be consistent? One of the good traits of a good writer is consistency. And even if you're not going to be consistent, you have to give us a really good reason for this change that's happening. They just change things so many times, giving us new explanations. Master Lee comes in yet again, and he's like, let me explain to you what is happening. It's like, why does Master Lee need to explain to us and give us a different explanation this time from what he told us 3 episodes ago? It's just nonsense. This is the last Hong Sisters thing that I will ever watch.
I think I might be the same way. Like, it was convoluted, and it was just all over the place, and then it just went, like, full on, like, just smacking the romance in, you know, in my face, at least. I was just like, okay, like, I really don't care for the romance right now. Like, the plot needs to, like, make sense, or, like, you know, stuff needs to be, like, tied up right now. We don't have time for all these, like, romance stuff. Like, save that for, I don't know, like, the last, like, 3 episodes. But, like, you know, for a majority, it's just been too many, like, romantic scenes for me, at least. Like, yeah, but, yeah.
And give Yul somebody to love, please. Just give that guy somebody. I haven't watched.
They just killed her. They just
right. Okay, so let me tell you how pissed I was when, you know, Ook goes in and he's like swinging the sword and he kills everybody, and he finds out about the blood parasite that's inside of Yul. And, like, meanwhile, the dead girl's just lying next to Yul. Nobody gives a F that dead girl is dead. Nobody cares. It wasn't until, like, oh, let's save him. And then after he was saved and was alive, he's like, well, what happened to Soi? And they're like, oh, who? Oh, yeah, she's dead. It's like, nobody tried to save her? Nobody even wanted to check to see if she was really, really dead, or if she had a little bit of life left in her. I was like, Soi, they did you so wrong, girl. I'm so sorry. I know you were a trash woman, but at the very least, somebody should have at least pretended to care that you had died.
Oh, yeah, I thought so. Like, her story was, like, really tragic. And, yeah, she was, like, I mean, you know, yeah, she was a pretty bad person. But I think, yeah, at least with her redemption arc was, like, you know, she genuinely, like, loved, you know, Yul and stuff like that. And, like, even when he was, like, saying all that stuff, she was giving, you know, honest advice. And, like, she could have been like, no, you should kill her. But no, she was like, you know, you should use her so you can live, and, like, and you like her, so don't kill her, which I thought was, you know, really beautiful at the same time. So, yeah.
And she was a Renaissance woman. I mean, this chick, like, towards the end, had rags. She was rolling out in rags, and she's found her way to being some kind of, like, head of a gang. I mean, she always rolled hard. She always came back. It was just like, can't you let her... You have Mr. Frosty just rolling all over the place. Can't you let her roll around? I mean, at least she would have been an interesting redemptive figure, you know, because the best, like, saint is someone who used to be a sinner. Like, she would have done so much for the crew, but then y'all killed her.
And Yul could have had a girl, man. He wouldn't have to be pining over Naksu, who we met 12 years ago when they were kids. Like, poor Yul. This guy is, like, horny and there's no ladies that are around him. He's still thinking about Naksu all these years later. It's like, just give him a girl, please. He could have been that girl. I don't know if he had feelings for her or not, but, like, it seemed like he was a little tender toward her. It was like, come on, give this boy a tenderoni, please.
We need to bet. We need to do a poll and find out, like, how many people think this show is going to end in the final 2 episodes, or if there's going to be a part 3. And I kind of think that the writing may be schizophrenic, because maybe, and I'm making this up, pulling out my ear, the Hung sisters, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt up to a point, because they've done a lot of good shows that I enjoy. I want to believe that they were writing in one fashion. And then when Netflix showed up, Netflix was like, no, we don't just do 1 season. If it's popular, it has to be 2. And they were like, okay, let's try and split it up. Let's stretch it out to 20 episodes.
Exactly, because that is my belief. I'm a Home Sisters fan personally. I like their works that I've seen. I feel like this was the Netflix dragon that pushed them over this edge, that caused them to have to like kind of hurriedly create some space and some stuff that didn't make sense, because this doesn't, like, yeah, their dramas make you think now, but that doesn't usually flow this way. This is too much to a degree. Like, I don't know.
Don't even do that to them. Don't do that to these girls, okay? And let me explain why. It's not a Netflix problem. They had the King Eternal Monarch, and they had the same issue. They run out of time. They don't pace their...
I liked the King Eternal Monarch.
That's fine. You can like it. I'm not going to say whether I like it or not like it, but I enjoyed it, is what I will say. But they run into this problem many times where they just run out of time. They don't pace their shows well. So I think that I was hoping that by Netflix giving them extra episodes, it would have solved that issue that they have in their writing, where they just run out of time and they develop all these other stories that are side pieces that, you know, could be untangled with more episodes. But no, I think that this is just their style of writing. That just, it gets convoluted and things don't make sense. And you're watching and you're entertained and you get down the rabbit hole. But like, there's a lot of, you can't have that nice bow tied up nicely at the end. There's too many loose ends in their work.
I think I read an article on Naver or whatever that said that the reason why they wanted to do 30 episodes was that in, I guess, the last 10 or whatever, they wanted to talk about more about the families, like the 4 families and their stories. And while watching part 2, I was like, I don't really feel like I'm getting anything. I don't know why, like, how the Parks came into power or anything. Like, besides they're just rich, but everyone else here in the 4 families is rich. And then they talk about the Seos a lot, but we still have yet to see, like, Seoho Fortress. And we didn't even get to see this, Yul's dad, who's the general. And they keep on mentioning him, and we have yet to ever see him, which is funny. So...
I actually wouldn't mind extra, like, if they kept the seasons going, if they would close this up correctly, if they would clean it up, because I wouldn't mind, watching Yul fall in love with somebody. I wouldn't mind extra, but you can't even handle this. You can't even handle one good romance. Like, come on.
Yeah, I agree. The pacing was really, really bad in the show.
I'm going to say yes to KDrama Gear Plus. Hello. I'm not even a moderator. I'm just seeing the request, and I didn't want to be rude. So
I was going to ask, can you made a host again, please? I was a host before, but then I switched my personhood.
Could I just, it's Simon here. Could I just jump in and say something about the Hong sisters and going beyond episode 16? I think that this is one of the big problems with Netflix, and I was just going to listen in, but these anything going beyond episode 16 or second seasons, through Netflix really, I think, is not ruining Korean drama, but just changing it and having a negative impact on it. I think the old formula of 16 to 20 episodes and everything wrapped up is really good. And I don't know about other people, but I find that Netflix is just messing with the formula, and it's something they should leave alone. And the Hong sisters should really push back against that. Anyway, so those are my thoughts, and I'm jumping in because I just feel really strongly about that.
Yeah, I agree, because I definitely think what the strength with K-dramas is that keeping it contained within 16 to 20 episodes. I know there's those bigger Saeguk historical dramas that tend to be hundreds of episodes, but those work because, it's historical. So a lot of stuff is happening in the drama series. It's an epic. But the regular drama series, I tend to land on not having a season 2 unless you really make season 1 8 episodes and then season 2 eight episodes as well, which technically is only one season. But if they split it up like that, that's fine. But beyond that, I feel like a lot of series in general, not just K-dramas, even Western or whatever, French, English, German, different drama series, they struggle with the second season unless they know ahead of time, they've already plotted out season 1, 2, and 3. Then if you haven't already plotted out, sometimes it's hard to do season 2 because you don't know what you're doing and you're just stretching it into 3 seasons when it could be just 1.
One other thing I might just add about that as well. I mean, the only one I've really seen do it successfully is something like Romantic Dr. Kim, which is definitely one of my favorite dramas. But that's because they changed a lot of the cast and they have fresh blood coming in. So it wasn't really the same people. It was a new. It was the same characters, but they also had new characters. So it wasn't really just a season 2. It was a version 2.0 or something like that. And I think that is where it could possibly work. But apart from that, I'm not so sure about it. I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks that way as well. So anyway, I'll hand it back. So I'm still getting used to the ending up bits.
No, thank you for sharing. That was really incisive. What's insightful? That's the word. Yeah.
Thank you. I try to be.
Because that is something that I've often complained about, because I'm a complainer. Netflix is ruining K-dramas, and I argue with my friend Karis about this all the time. I'm like, either they take movies that should just be movies and just extend them, and that's fine, and they just take it's a longer story. And they sell them as Korean dramas, but they're not following at all the Korean drama format. They're essentially films that give directors, often made by movie directors, right? They just give them extra time to tell a really compelling story. But they're Korean serials, yes, but are they K-dramas the way that we're used to? No, I wouldn't say so, right? They don't do the tropes or what have you, but fine. But who am I to say? I'm not Korean, right? But then at the same time, they take a perfectly good K-drama story that has all the tropes, that follows, the rules of K-drama land as far as what we recognize, and then they spoil it. They either and I think the way they often spoil it is by making too many episodes. When they are okay, guys, you only have 8 episodes. I'm often happier when the shows that Netflix makes are 8 episodes or 10 episodes. But when they are we'll give you 20 episodes, I feel like they just take too much time, or just, I don't know, they ruin the story somehow. But Kate, I feel like Netflix plus Hong Sisters is not a good combination. It's just not a winning combination.
That's actually a really good way of putting it together. I think they're trying to customize it for Western markets, and I think the only thing that we can do is, as people that aren't Korean, is push back against that. But I'm not sure how we could really do that. I mean, just keep it 16 to 20 episodes, and they don't need to change it. That's the thing. It's people getting plastic surgery when they don't need it or something like that. It's perfect. They don't need to change it anyway. So,
I also think that they're not. Sometimes we think they're catering to Western audiences, and sometimes they are. But I think they're trying to cater to Asian audiences. At least, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like with Disney Plus, and maybe this is a separate conversation, but like I think that either they don't know Western audiences. No, they don't know Western audiences, A. B, they don't know K-drama audiences. And C, there are all these markets that they're trying to tap into, and they're not pleasing anybody. They're not pleasing the new markets. They're not in other parts of the world that are not non-Western. They're not pleasing Western audiences because they're not really watching K-dramas like that a lot. And then 3, they're pissing off the people who've been always watching K-dramas.
Well, I guess it comes down to what the solution is for that. I mean, maybe what they'll do is they'll just see the ratings drop off in season 2, or they'll see that the season 2 isn't as popular as season 1. Maybe it's just something that's going to take longer for them to actually to look at and see. Maybe that's the stats which is going to tell the story to them. But that's not going to happen overnight. That's going to take a couple of years while they test all the different scenarios and things like that. Anyway, I haven't watched the last 2 episodes of Alchemy of Souls. How are they? Are they sort of as good as the last ones of this series, or are they?
Dude, we've been talking about that this whole time.
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to segue out of this. I'm just trying to get it back on track.
That was a good segue. Good segue.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Do you think that these last 2 episodes compare to the first season at all?
Not really. I think they really suck in comparison to the episodes from part 1. And even in today's episode, I like literally was watching and I was like, okay, there's really nothing like interesting until the last like 10, 15 minutes where they entered was it Guido prison? I don't know how to pronounce that, and then they found, there's like a skeleton there with an ice stone, which was interesting. But that was it for me.
So, our girl Somina, she was like, yo, I'm going to be in the first season. I don't know what you guys are doing for the second season. I just don't know. And before I was so offended. I'm like, how dare they just swap her out like that? Like, she doesn't matter. Like, her acting skills playing Mudaki, playing, Buyan, and playing Naksu as if, like, she doesn't matter. Oh, no, she didn't play Naksu. But still playing all 3 people in that show. I was like, how dare they get rid of her? Now I'm like, oh, she knew something we didn't know. She knew that the first season was a good season. As she saw the script for the second season, she's like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, one of my friends, she actually is one of those like Somin fans or whatever, and she said to me, I don't know if Jung So-min, if she was in part 2, if it could be like any better, but she was like, no, I think it would just still like suck regardless of who you have as the female lead actress.
Something else, Sangre, what do you guys think about these episodes in comparison to the first season?
I agree totally. They don't compare. Season 1 was so much better, much more put together. This is not it. But I'm just holding on to the end because, again, I am a fan. I've dug it and I've been digging it since the beginning. So I'm just trying to watch this to the end.
That something is up when you are watching a season like it's homework. When you're doing it like it's a chore. Like, okay, I've set this show to watch. I'm going to watch it now. And there's so much other better television. And I hope Netflix doesn't, and they're like kind of, experimenting, like lose the traction that they have. I mean, I think it'd be pretty hard to do, but lose the traction they have, because at some point Disney's going to get it figured out. They're slowly but surely figuring it out. And of course, I mean, maybe they'll lose traction to Viki or, Amazon Prime or some of these other folks who are starting to really get on their game. But I'm like, it's a sure thing. Like, we're addicts. All you have to do is give us 16 episodes. Like, it's not hard. I don't even understand. I still don't understand. And so this second season, that's it. Like, if they talk about a third one, I'm going to feel like they're disrespectful, and I'm not dealing with that.
I'm already feeling disrespected. At this point. I was disrespected when they're like, we're not going to give you the same actress. I've been feeling disrespected, like, with the storyline changes with Master Lee. I've been feeling disrespected with a lot of things. I feel like the only couple that I'm truly rooting for on this entire show is the uncle and the auntie. That's it. Like, maidservant Kim, I want her and uncle to get together. They're so cute. She is so beautiful. He is so cute. I love their love story. But Jang-uk, watching him in episode 7, I was like, okay, girlfriend. You need to leave his ass. Go home to your mama's house. The crown prince is eyeing you. You should be flirting with the crown prince. I literally was thinking to myself, you know what? There is a history of princes and kings stealing people's wives. Somebody mentioned King David before, right? Like, it's happened. The crown prince is eyeing you, girl. You should eye him back, because Jung-wook does not deserve you. He does not deserve her. Just letting her, like, oh yeah, go back to my mom. Yeah, sure, go back to your mom. It's like, really, dude? Like, oh yeah, okay, need you. And I'm like, oh wait, no, I do need you. Oh no, I don't need you. Oh, I want. It's like, Sean, nobody has time for that. Go. Crown Prince is interested. Go see if you could, like, flirt with him, give him a little something, but keep it right, But Jung-wook does not deserve her at this point. I'm so pissed.
Well, can I just say this? I don't even like her that much, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah, because I was about to say, that's my disdain. I want her to go somewhere. Jang-wook, right. I want him to find somebody else, not the damn doctor, but somebody else who he can go be happy with. For her, I need her to figure herself out. Once you find out who you are, then you can handle your business.
Right. I have complete problems with her. Number one, because chick, every time she gets a memory, she runs away. No, you should be leaning into the memory. Yes. If you touch a dude and you get a memory, you should kiss him. If that don't work, do something more with him. Like, every time it looks like she's getting her memories back, she, like, wanders off. And also, I kind of try to attribute her naivete and her winsomeness and her cutesy and I'm beautiful. I try to attribute that to, like, like, they're trying to push the romance and she has to be that way. But I'm like, chick, you're around a lot of powerful people and you don't have nothing to recommend you. Like, other than you're somebody's daughter who wants to use your womb. Like, can you kind of get your Naksu on faster? Because she at least had focus. She had some sense of agency. She had some sense of drive, even if it was in the wrong direction. Like, she was an authentic character that I didn't like that she was replacing people's bodies any kind of way, but I could respect her hustle. This chick is just like, I'm cute. Don't you like me? Who wants me? I'm like, chick, okay, so you just your womb. You just cute. That's it? Like, that's all she's bringing. Real talk. Like, let's just keep it real. 2023, since we're in the new year. Happy New Year, everyone. Like, chick, you're not that interesting. Okay, you go.
No, you're right. Thank you. And maybe that's what the problem is with the whole season. The girl from the last season was so much more interesting. They rewrote the star of the show, right? The central character. They're like, okay, we're going to give her a completely different body. We're going to give her a completely different personality. She's not going to remember anything from the past. It's like, wait, usually there's continuity. There is none. She's not interesting. At least, I loved Mudok because in the last season, she was interesting. She didn't take people's crap. There were all sorts of jokes between her and Jungkook where she was like, yeah, if you get killed, I guess you don't learn the skill. But if you don't, then you learn the skill. It was like, do you really are going to put this guy's life on the line? But guess what?
Dr. Chi, I think you have just hit the nail on the head. Because I'm sorry, somebody earlier, I can't remember who, but somebody earlier was saying, could it be the actress? And I'm thinking now, without a shadow of a doubt, it is the actress. Because they tried to write in some, like, banter between her and the king. But even that doesn't work quite right. It's not it's just not flowing. So the banter that's supposed to be there with her, with Yul, with Jungkook, it just doesn't flow with any of them. So it has to be the actress. I'm there now. It has to be the actress.
Oh, so you're saying that she's not doing the same thing that the previous actress would have done. That previous actress, someone would have been like, let me take these lines. Let me give them a little pizzazz, a pow, pow, pow. I'm like, oh my God, I love this actress. But this actress is like given the same types of lines. And it's not pounding, it's not pizzazzing. You're just like...
Because I'm just tripping off of, they tried to put that there with her and the king, or the crown prince. They tried to put that there with her and the crown prince, but even as I watched it, it never ever sparked quite right. And I'm like, I don't know what it is about them, but they need to stop this. Like, going on with that turtle, y'all doing too much, this ain't working. But now that you just spoke, I'm like, oh, that's the problem. Because with So Min, she was able to give you it made it funny, and you could kind of really see, because at first I'm like, are they trying to say that the king, the crown prince, is interested, or is he just being busybody? Like, I couldn't put my hand on what was going on in this season. Last season, I knew clear as day, oh yeah, he called himself liking her too.
Right. So, and that's right. And that's why I said that everyone was checking for Naksu. All the men liked Naksu. All the men were, milkshake to the yard. She was they loved her, okay? But it was bringing all the men to the yard. Let's keep it a buck. Her soy skills bringing all the men to the yard. But I think I did that badly. But I don't think it's the actress. I think it's the writing. I think that I think it's how they wrote that character. The fact
that they can do it last season with a different actress, but not this season with this actress, tells me it's the actress. It can't be just the writing. Right. Yes, the writing's bad. We give that. But I'm saying those same little witty comments and little witty remarks last year when we watched it in season 1, they flowed and they worked. Now it's not flowing and it's not working.
But what's the difference? I think that I'm not saying it can't be all three. It can't be the actress, the writing, and how they handle the character. But I think a lot of it is the character. They made a character who is not witty. She's just cute. She's cute. She doesn't have Naksu's energy and drive. Naksu was like a badass. She was a badass in another body, basically looking at dudes saying, toughen up. Stop being a little punk. Go on and die. Like, she was that type of chick. She was hard. She was hard. Naksu was a street chick. She was a ride or die. She was a ride or die. And this girl's like, I want to walk and live. Right. This chick is like, don't you think I'm cute? Don't you want to love me? She barely met dude, and she was like, hey, she jumped off the boat and jumped into his arms. You don't know him. He's just cute. Okay, he has some power. Yeah, he got some swagger. Okay, I get it. But don't just jump on him any kind of way. It's because they just made a cutesy character. They made a Mary Sue type character who does not have any agency. So that's why she can't even carry wit. She can't carry much. She can't carry herself. All she can carry is her womb. That's all she's bringing to the table.
But out of curiosity, anyone who watched season 1, is not this the same woman who initially played Naksu?
Yes, but she didn't play Mudok. Mudok was the one that we were all loving in season 1, right? Like, that was what I kept watching. I was like, oh, look, because, real talk, I don't even like watching these old time stories. I don't like Segoks. I usually watch the modern stuff. Why? Because I don't like watching girls who are like, oh, I have no sabor. I have no flavor. Oh, please come save me. Oh, please come help. I hate those kinds of girls. And a lot of the Segoks have girls like that. I like girls that are witty. I like girls with swords, who are fighting, who are doing stuff, who are pushing the storyline along, and not just damsels in distress. So the first season, I was like, oh, they're doing something different. They're giving us like a Goryo-style chick, not a Joseonera-style chick, And then this girl comes along and gives me Joseon. I'm like, oh no. This is so boring. Give me some salt. Give me some pepper. Give me some cayenne, please. Because this girl is so sin sabor. No flavor, no sabor whatsoever.
Don't you think I can't remember her name, but the Bloodworm girl in the second series that died, she to me seemed like that kind of girl the most. And it was really I know you talked about it before, but I thought that she was the sassy one, the one that, I mean, she couldn't fight, but at least she tried to put up a fight.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. I think she was very sassy, and I think they misused her character in casting.
Yeah, she was really good. And I thought that it's such a pity to see it. Maybe they'll revive her in the last two. I hope they revive her in the last 2 episodes and she'll come back or something like that. She really had to.
I could see that, because why were we looking at her body today? I was like, what is the point of her still being like, why are we looking at her body? When Seoul was looking, or Yul was looking at her in the casket with the umbrella. I mean, you said you hadn't seen today. Sorry, I apologize. Well, today we see her body. And that's what I was like, why are we looking at her body? And in my mind, I'm saying, they might do something with reviving her.
Okay, what if they put Naksu in her body and keep Bouillon's spirit in Bouillon? I would love that.
Yeah, that's the answer. Yeah, that's the answer, definitely.
I would love that, because you're like, she's a fighter, but she can't fight. I was like laughing as you said that. I'm like, oh, but what if they put her in Naksu's body with Naksu's skills and she can be a fighter? Our Chingu girl is going to be a fighter.
I could see that too, because Yul is busy trying to figure out how to solve this problem. Because remember, he loves Naksu. He still is in love with Naksu, even though we recognize when Naksu is falling in love for Jangkook. He's still pining for her. So I could see that happening.
Oh my God, that would solve it. So that he gets Soe, who I've been rooting for this whole time. Like, Soe, get your man. That would allow Soe to get the man. See, we've already solved the problem. We've written the ending. Thank you.
So here's my question. What happened to, what is her name? Chao Young, the blind girl? What happened to her body?
Okay, so this is the other thing that pisses me off is the ableism, right? Because girlfriend was blind, and they're like, oh, you're putting the spirit into this body of a blind girl. But she's not blind anymore. Explícame. Somebody explain to me this.
Well, that's from season 1. In season 1, when Naksu took over Madogi's body, same chick, when she took over that body, she was able to see. She was no longer blind. Because you remember, that's been Soe's whole point the entire time, is that the original Bouillon is blind. Why are we playing with y'all? This chick should be blind. Why is she not blind? Because
sorry,
that whole thing happened. Go ahead, oh my.
Sorry, I had like a theory about that too, or on my blog I had written like an explanation of why exactly, like, well, you know, the Mudok body is no longer blind. Is because, like, you know, Naksu, she's Jinbu Yun, so she, during her time in the, you know, GYJ body, she had, you know, trained and became, and, you know, accumulated a lot of energy. And so when she went back to her original body, she actually healed her eyes, like her soul healed her own eyes. And that's what, you know, no, like, Bu Yun's no longer blind anymore.
So when Naksu goes into Soe's body, which is our prediction, then Bu Yun will go back to being blind. Is that what you're thinking? Could that happen? Could it happen? That's a question.
Yeah.
I need an org chart so bad, y'all.
I think if she leaves her own body to go to a different body, I think it would. Logically, from how I'm arguing, I think it would just leave it like blind again, because it's the soul that transforms the body, not the body that transforms the soul. So, like, say, like another, like she enters Soe's body, and Soe was like, I don't know, had some sort of like physical injury, then like then not, or Jinbu Yun / Naksu's soul could heal it.
Oh my God. I love that we have an ending that is going to be better than anything the Hong Sisters is going to give us. Because I feel like this would be the ending that I would be so content with, and that would even possibly make me watch a season 3. But if they don't give us the ending that we've come up with in this room, I'm not gonna watch season
For me,
3.
I think the ending is going to be actually like, it might be, you know, far fetched, but I think Jung So Min is going to be in the ending.
That would make more sense.
Like
that would make more sense.
Just, I mean, this is just a mask, like an illusion. This, you know, Naksu face is just an illusion. Like, you can just peel off. So whenever she gets all her crap back and puts her soul back together, then her soul is going to change this body.
I don't think so. Girlfriend is already working on another drama right now. Like, she's not coming back.
No,
she's already told us she's not making an appearance in this season.
No, she is. It's in the writing. She's supposed to be part of this as a cameo. So I can see her showing back up and then ending it at season 2 then. That makes sense.
Because I've only seen her... So I feel like they're putting her on the list because they have flashbacks of her when she was Nux, whatever her name is, Mudaki. But do you really think that she's going to leave the drama that she's like working on right now and come back and for the... I would love to see that. Though.
Yeah, it would just be like, you know, like at the very end, you know, her face, like, or the body, whatever, the face changes to hers again. And this time she's like, I'm really Jinbu Yan, like, and Noxie was a part of me, you know, blah, blah, blah. And goes with the whole...
Because did you ever see the drama where, I cannot think of the name of it, but Park Bo Gum shows up at the end? He's the waiter or something, and we leave off. Oh, it was
Itaewon class. Yes.
Okay, so I think it'd be like that. It will be where she just makes a quick appearance. It's nothing where she's going to be needing to take scheduling and doing all that other stuff. She's just going to make a quick appearance, and it's going to be to help wrap up the show.
I mean, and why are we assuming that she didn't already do that wrap up before? I mean, they knock out shows, you know. We don't get them as much, but there are plenty of 20 episode shows. So they may have done it all already once Netflix interceded badly. And, you know, she's not really taking a break. We just get to see her.
I think she could have filmed like right after, because they were filming part 1 in May, I think. And so I think they said they took like a week or 2 weeks break. And so it could be that, you know, she filmed her little small portion for the ending, like at the very like beginning of part 2 filming, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and she had to say, I'm not in season 2 because A, spoilers,
big
right?
Spoiler.
And B, she knew that with her scheduling, it wasn't going to work. But can I just say that I really appreciate how Sangre was like, you know, a year ago when Alchemy of Souls first aired, it's like, girlfriend, that was like months ago. But I love that because it's like, we are really supposed to be 3 years out, right? So it's like, you're not wrong. It's like, it's been 3 years.
Is there anyone else that wanted to come up and speak? I sent a few invites out. I know, Sab, I see you've made a few comments, and K3, I invited you all as well. Is there anyone else who wanted to speak before we begin our wrap up?
I just have to, I'm not sure if there's protocol, but I have to get back to work. So, but thank you for letting me speak.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
You know, there isn't a protocol, at least not for me, because it's the first time I've ever done this. So whoever wants to speak up, you can just raise your hand or hit the mic button, and it'll request that to speak, and then we can hear from you.
So there was something I was kind of upset about this whole entire series. It's just like how women have been treated in the show there, and I was like, is this like Game of Thrones? I don't know how many of you guys have watched like Game of Thrones, but like female characters in Game of Thrones were, you know, treated pretty poorly, and like in this show it's like the same way. You know, you're like damsels in distress, manipulative or petty people, and I'm just like, why can't all these women just work together? And like, why is it always the men who are always like, you know, at the top of everything, and like women are always getting like degraded? And like, look how, you know, out of the 4 families, there's just like the Jin and they get treated like trash like all the time. And I didn't appreciate that. And I really didn't like how they had changed like Yuno K's character. I was like, really? She's gonna be turning into that kind of bit? I'm sorry. like, oh. I didn't like what they did to her character. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents about that. And I don't like Jungkook. Like, he just makes the most like misogynistic like comments like all the time, and I'm just like, oh my god, like this girl like needs to just leave, and as others have said, like, go back. I want her to like find herself, and then like whatever romance stuff she wants to do, just do that after, and like, yeah, just like find herself and then worry about all the other stuff. She has like responsibilities right now to take care of.
Well, you know what? I agree about what you said about Jungkook. I think that the reason I was like, I didn't even like him first season, and it was because I thought he was spoiled, and he didn't have much to recommend him other than like a lot of angst, because he was like constipated. His spiritual, his energy, his ki or his chi or whatever was constipated. So the thing that humanized him for me and like, kind of smoothed out his rough edges was Nasuk, why am I saying her name wrong? Naksu, because she was such a hard ass with him, because she so didn't give him any room to feel sorry for himself. Like, this guy had been jumping from person to person saying, will you be my master? And people were just giving him the runaround. So you want to feel sorry for him, but then he was super spoiled. He didn't want to do anything for himself. He wasn't doing the education that he should have been doing. So I think on this side, he, instead of being the spoiled prince, he gets to be like the bitter prince, right? But he's doing if he doesn't have a Naksu to like pimp slap him a little bit and say, hey, stop being, this way. And so that's why I'm like, I'm rooting for their romance. But I agree with you. It's like, he kind of he's been cold to the point of cruelty. And then only at the end of episode 7 did he kind of bare his heart. And let me give big ups to that kiss. Respect for that kiss. I may have to clip that kiss and put it on, and tweet about it or something, because it was a nice kiss. You gotta give points to kisses in K-dramas, because some of them are really weak. Yeah. So big ups. But that was, it was like almost too little too late. I'm like, okay, you're doing this and we only have 2 episodes left. Okay, so now you're gonna speed up the romance. I don't know what's going on.
I mean, the thing I didn't like about their relationship is that at the end of, part 1, they like both lost their powers or whatever, and they essentially just lost any motivation to like do anything with their lives. Like, they were just like, oh, we're just gonna go to wherever and live a quiet life. And I'm like, you guys are like, you have to do something with your life. Like, it's not always just going to be like peaceful all the time. You have to like do something. You guys have like all these powers. Like, do something with them for the world. As much as that sucks, it's like, you're given these powers. You need to do something with them other than, just the alternative, which is nothing. And I was like, okay, so they're just going to be in love and just do nothing. And I was like, oh.
You're like frustrated with the whole like, to whom much is given, much is expected, and they're just like, no expectations anymore. Yeah, dudes, I don't know about this show. Thank you for clarifying. Or I guess I clarified it, and then something else. No, a songwriter agreed with me, so I'm like, yes, I will reiterate that. No, I'll reiterate what something else said, which is that like the best part of Jungkook was what Mudok brought out of him last season. Like, she was so central of a character to the show last season. Such an interesting person, such a force to be reckoned with. And they took all of that out of her, so that now when you see Jungkook, he's just not even an interesting character anymore. There's no like combination that keeps you that makes you like him even more, that makes you like him. I think you're right. I don't even like him this season. He's just a jerk. He's kind of like you said, abusive, something else. And like, There's nobody there to bring anything interesting out of him, to make him turn into a better person or reveal a different side of him. And there's just this girl who's like, oh, I'm just pretty, love me. You know, it's like, ugh, whatever.
Well, I personally have nothing else to add, unless you all have anything to break down about Reborn Rich, since we talked about it first. I don't know if any of the listeners have something about that.
There were no requests to speak, so I think we are at the end. I think we are wrapping up here, and thank each and every one of you all who came in, listened, who did share and give opinions and toss around ideas, because it did help to like make some things a little more clear and more understandable for me. I also think that this was a excellent collaboration between Kdrama Support Group and Black Girl Seoul. Thank you, ladies. This was fun. I enjoyed.
Thank you again for having it.
Yeah, we gotta definitely do it again. We have other shows,
yes.
You know, we can count on. The one thing we can count on is that there are going to be new K dramas, C dramas, and J dramas. So, I mean, we definitely have to do this again. Thank you.
Absolutely. This has been so much fun, everybody. Thank you for coming. Small plug for those of you guys who are in the DMV area, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. Next week, Kdrama Support Group will be collaborating with another group to host an in-person finale watching of the Alchemy of Souls. So message me directly if you're interested, if you're in the area. Thank you for coming. I'm glad we got to do this, guys. Good times.
Yes.
Yes. Bye, you guys.
Bye.
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 Thank you so much for listening to Black Girl Seoul. We enjoyed having you, and please subscribe, like, and follow our Facebook page, YouTube channel, Twitter page, Instagram page, and join our Facebook group. You can also find us on Patreon. Please look below for links. See you guys next week.